Do you like going to sporting events, concert, Broadway plays, comedy shows, or music festivals? If so, you may need tickets. If you do, head on over to SeatGeek. SeatGeek has reasonable and affordable prices for all kinds of budgets, especially when you use code HTS for $20 off your first purchase. You can filter seats by price, best seats, and deal score. If you don't know what deal score is, deal score takes the true value of the seat against the price of the seat to give a 0 out of 10 rating, with 10 being the best. In order to get you the best deal possible, SeatGeek gives you that feedback. Once again, use code HTS for $20 off your very first purchase. Go out and have a fun time with some friends, family, significant other, whoever. Just go out, have a great time, support the pod.
Hey everyone, this is Clayton Scalina of the Hot Take Sports Podcast, and I'd just like to take a moment to introduce our newest partner with the Hot Take Sports Podcast, Drew Seifert of Drew Seifert Racing. Drew races a 305 sprint car here in Northwest Ohio. He competes at Attica Raceway Park in Attica, Ohio on Friday nights and Fremont Speedway in Fremont, Ohio on Saturday nights. If you're in the area and make it out to the races, make sure to look out for the red, white, and black 13S car and the Hot Take Sports logo on it. We're very excited to partner with Drew and wish him the best of luck the rest of the racing season. Once again, make sure to look out for car number 13S, and without further ado, let's dive into episode 52.
Welcome to Keeping the Balance. It's going to be another mini-series presented by Hot Take Sports. I'm Brady. Keeping the Balance is going to be about interviewing college athletes and some former college athletes, just kind of about like their experience with college sports, how they got there, what their college experience overall is like, and just some of that different stuff. I'm actually starting with a former athlete and co-host of the Hot Take Sports podcast, Matthew White. Matt, how we doing?
Not too bad, Brady. How are you?
Oh, we're here in the old 1851, thriving.
Old 1851. Doesn't quite roll off the tongue like the 3840 does.
No, absolutely not.
Shout out to Walmart.
So, I guess, Matt, tell the viewers what your sport was and where you go to college.
All right, so I am a student at the University of Findlay. I was on their men's soccer team last year. I'm an environmental science major. It's the easiest way of putting it. It's technically environmental health, safety, and sustainability, but environmental science is just the easiest way to put that. Been playing soccer since I could walk. It was always my number one sport. It was my first love. So, that's kind of where it all started.
So we're going to start with the present day. Obviously, you're not playing now, but you've been to a couple games. What have you seen? Like, better squad than last year?
Yeah. You could definitely tell there's more depth in the team this year. And the chemistry is just so much better. You can just tell there's just a great group of guys there. They all want to win. They all want to play for each other. They do anything for each other. And they're friends on and off the field, which is a huge part of it, and having that winning culture. So,
is the same coach back? Is it the same one you had last year?
Yep, Coach Smith and Coach Sleesman, and then reserve coach, Coach White.
Reserve Coach White.
Shout out to the boss man.
He's my favorite coach at the University of Findlay. I don't even go there.
He's my favorite coach too.
I sure hope so. Semester check. You mentioned you were an environmental science major. How's your semester going?
The semester's going good. A little more relaxed this semester. Only taking 15 credit hours, 3 of them online, and so just reeling in a little bit. I took a lot of like college credit plus classes and stuff like that in high school, so I got pretty ahead in my major. So I do technically classify as a junior, even though I'm still a sophomore, but I can't graduate early. So there's no point in me pushing ahead and So the environmental science.
He saw I was confused, so I was explaining.
Yeah. So our ESO program, that's the environmental science. I'm just going to call it the ESO. It's easier. The ESO program is nationally renowned at the University of Findlay. That's, part of the reason I'm going there. We're accredited through multiple associations. You can come out with different certifications, and we have an off-site training program that's the only one like it in the country. So we're a super popular major, but even with that, it's not a very big major because it's not super popular. It's not super mainstream right now, which is why, we have 100% job placement. So, I feel like I'm just doing an ad for the University of Findlay, but
Hey, man.
hey, we'll take it.
Hey,
but
free advertising.
yeah, I'm sure they won't complain too much.
Well, hopefully they hear it. So,
hey, whatever works. But it's not a very big program, so we don't have enough professors to teach every class that is required in the spring and in the fall. So there's only certain classes you can take certain semesters. So there's no way I could graduate early, but I'm pretty much, through my sophomore year, I'm pretty much done with all my gen eds. But because there's certain classes I still can only take in certain semesters, I can't graduate early. So therefore, I can reel it in, take less classes, be more, specific, working on my schoolwork, and, then I can work and do other things outside of class, like recording podcasts.
So you mentioned the having like alternating semester classes. We have the exact same problem at Bluffton in just about every single department. You and I have talked about this before. Matt's my roommate, co-host, so we see him all the time. There's like 3 or 4 majors I'm like 2 classes away from, but none of them are offered. I'm still planning to be there because the goal is to graduate a semester early, so I'm probably going to be graduating that semester I'm trying to cut out.
Sorry, I had to look something up.
It's okay. I'm curious as to if it was for this or not.
It is.
Okay.
I wanted to see our enrollment differences. You guys have 751 undergraduate students.
I think we probably got like 80 to 100 grads. So like I know we're like right around that 8 to 850 mark. But yeah, we're super small private school.
Yeah, the University of Findlay's around 3,300 in undergraduate. So
yeah, that's a lot more.
Yeah, so it makes more sense for you guys to be a little more strained and specific to
small town Bluffton, but I guess the job.
I like the small town environment. It's nice, and Bluffton's a nice campus overall.
It is. Just put in lights, for our one night football game, which we lost, which is super unfortunate because I was hoping we'd beat Adrian because that's our like out of conference rival, Even though they're from Michigan, like you'd think it would be somewhere like ONU. But
right down the road. That makes sense.
We don't even play ONU. Not even as a non-conference
action.
You'd think. I think that would be a good idea. I don't know. I think ONU's enrollment's like a lot bigger than ours. I don't know if I will look that up now, but
yeah, I don't.
All right, and then you mentioned that the ESO program was part of how you ended up at Findlay. What else caused you to go to Findlay? I know the answer, but
yeah. So, well, we already shouted out Coach White. In case you guys don't know, that's my pops. Shout out to him again. So the wonderful thing about having a parent that is also a professor is this little thing called free tuition. So, as you all know, tuition is absolutely insane, and especially when you go to a private school like the University of Findlay is. So that's all taken care of, and there's select schools like around the state. Or I think it's private schools in Ohio plus select ones across the country. But honestly, I just sat down one night and I went to the University of Findlay's catalog. I had no idea what I was looking for. The only thing I had ever been told that I should major in is everybody was like, "Oh man, you would do great in engineering."
Really?
I'm like, okay. Yeah, I kind of see it. Like, I'm in the general area of it. And I know some people who have gone into engineering that I'm like, okay, that's some cool stuff. But the University of Findlay doesn't have any form of engineering.
Really?
Yes, that's like the one big thing that they don't have is engineering.
That's super surprising because most schools... Actually, I don't even know. I feel like Boston does have engineering, but I don't actually know.
It seems like one of the basics, right?
Yeah.
So, and I was just scrolling through the catalog, and I'm like, environmental health, safety, and sustainability. what? I mean, which is the same reaction that everyone else gives.
That can't be it.
Or environmental safety and occupational health is what it was technically called when I was looking through it, which is where ESO comes from.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I figured I'd clear that up since I was calling it ESO.
I was
earlier.
like ESO, but then I realized it was H on the end of it. Oh, silent H.
Yeah.
ESO.
It's yeah.
ESO.
It's just same thing that everyone says when you call it environmental science. They go, oh, okay.
Yeah, see, exactly.
But anyways, I was scrolling through, and I was like, oh, what is this? What could this even be? And I was like, of course, I saw the basics. I saw 100% job placement, because that was big on the screen.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they bolded that. They made sure that was there.
Bluffton does that with their 100% scholarship guarantee.
Yep. And right underneath that was starting jobs over $60,000 a year.
What?
Yeah. The most money someone has ever made coming out of the University of Findlay is almost 120 grand.
Entry level?
Entry level. 120 grand. And I don't remember the girl's name to save my life, but she was a smart cookie, I tell you what.
I mean, if you're making almost 120 mils, you're
120 grand cheap.
Sorry, so he's,
LeBron James level stuff right there.
So he's just talking about sports contracts. Just 120K. Much better.
I mean, that's
120K
insane.
straight out of college.
22 years old making 120 grand. I wouldn't know what to do with myself.
That's incredible.
I mean, I could figure it out, but I wouldn't know what to
I was
do
gonna
with
say,
myself.
I mean, that's a lot of taxes.
Well, yeah, that too, but yeah. So I saw the money and I saw the job placement. I was like, all right, those are some good selling points to have at the top of the screen for sure. But I kept looking into it, and I saw our offsite training facility, and I was looking into it more, and they were like, oh, we're trying to add a lot of stuff with sustainability, and I was like, oh, I've always been a really big fan of, like, renewable energy stuff.
Yeah.
Which was, like, I wouldn't say brand new to textbooks when we were in school, but, like, that was, like, the emerging technology, I guess, was, you know, solar panels, wind farms were going up around. But solar panels are like a viable option now. Like, people can get those on their houses, and it's not gonna break the bank.
Yeah, I think there's a house or two on 103. At least I know there's one. I'm pretty sure the solar panels on top, and then like the entire front of their house is glass. Like, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Well, there's two on 313. There's one before Corey Rawson and one a ways after that have.
Okay.
I think they're on their barns technically, but
that might be.
Yeah, there's at least two on 313.
Yeah, I remember seeing one of them now.
Yep.
Yeah, one of them's definitely on the barns. Cause I remember looking over, I go, oh, I just did it today.
Yeah. So that stuff's always interested me, and I mean, this is literally the field to get into that. So that is the goal. I've talked to a few, like I wouldn't say I'm friends with, but I'm acquaintances with the project manager for the Arcadia solar farm
we talked
that is
about
supposed
this.
to be going up. Yeah, so.
And then, you know, you also played a year of soccer. I was at several soccer games because Blake played that year, so I was there to watch your parents working on your highlight tape. So, did you only send that to Findlay, or did you send it to other schools?
I honestly think that tape was just going to Findlay. I think that was the only reason it was being made, because, I mean, obviously it was. Some people will see it as cheap. I had an in with the team, obviously. My dad was a coach. But the coach knew me. I had gone to a few Findlay camps. I did a trial practice there. He knew me. He saw the potential in my play. And I mean, I don't want to, like, brag, but I mean, I was a pretty good soccer player. Not great, but...
I mean, you were, like, easily top 3 on the team in high school, I'd say. I
was top 1 on the team in high school. That's not even bragging.
I wasn't gonna say top 1.
I was a medium-sized fish in a very small pond.
I was going to imply it, but not outright say it.
I mean, I was first team conference senior year, so.
I was just saying. I mean, I'd argue number 2, and I mean, I guess I consider Clayton number 3.
Yeah. Probably Clayton, Leo, and I.
I was gonna say Mikey's in the mix in top 5 in there somewhere, obviously.
Oh, Mikey's in there. Keegan's good. Carson's good.
Yeah.
Grant.
So it was only to Findlay. Did you even apply anywhere else, or did you only apply?
Honestly, no. I did not apply to a single other college, because I looked through. I was like, I get free college. This is the major I want. I get to play soccer. Soccer was because a lot of people, and I'm sure a lot of people you interview are going to be. Well, I went here because I got to play baseball or football or whatever. Mine was completely not that. You were reminiscing a little bit over there.
Okay, you mean you did the exact opposite of just by stating exactly what I just did? Yeah.
But you had always wanted to go to Bluffton, at least a little. I mean, it
Yeah.
had the major that you wanted and everything, so
Yeah.
that was hopeful.
Well, the only better option was $70,000 a year, so
There is that too.
gonna pay double that for just
Yeah.
that was, which I learned actually. My professor got his master's at Syracuse.
Really?
I was talking with him in his office, and he had his bachelor's from Bluffton framed, and right beside it was his master's from Syracuse. I go, huh.
Well, there you go. But yeah, so my plan was to go to Findlay before I even got my offer sheet for soccer. So soccer was just icing on the cake for me. It wasn't like do or die. This was the main reason I was there.
Yeah.
So
It's always nice to go there for a major and then just play sport after that. Because I know several people that have myself included, that more so picked the college because of the sport. Bluffton just so happened to have a good program for the major I wanted. I was drawn there because I knew. I mean, your relationship with your coach and mine with my coach, way different, but because you're related to one of them. But
yeah,
I mean, I took lessons with Grandy for 3 years, so I think part of it was I kind of feel obligated, but I mean, this still worked out the way it did.
Mm-hmm. But think, you could be at the Bowling Green State University.
Why would I want to do that? All jokes.
How PG do you want this podcast? Probably should ask that beforehand.
This is the end. That's a good joke. We'll leave that one.
Oh yeah, you have to leave.
Oh yeah, of course. So, I mean, major decision. Didn't it wasn't a big factor in your college choice because that's the only place you applied.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like in high school it was just kind of expected that I was going to go play college soccer. I mean, I've got a school record or two. I mean, everybody knew that I was the soccer guy. That was what I did. Not that soccer was big in our school, and there's no that guy at our school because everyone knows everyone. Our high school's 200 total kids or whatever.
Something like that.
Yeah. 40 kids per grade, so probably not even that. Probably 150.
I was gonna say, heck, that might be 7 through 12, and maybe 350 in pre-K through 12, something like that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we are a tiny little campus, so it's not like anybody is,
If I had to start describing Corey as, hey, it's literally in between Findlay and Bluffton. All you gotta do is drive straight.
Yeah.
Because people have been like, well, where's Corey Ross? And I go, do you know where Findlay is? Yeah. I know where Bluffton is? Yeah. All right, so
look
find 313 and drive straight.
Look somewhere between the cornfields on 313. You'll find it.
Exactly.
Pretty much.
All right, so we'll roll into the future. So, I mean, obviously, we've talked about the 60 to 120K that your field can make straight out. Which only 120K is obviously the rarest of the rare, but
yeah, I'm not getting that.
that's like the ceiling of the range. So what is a dream job and what's realistic job?
So, I would say the dream job would be overseeing sustainable energy projects. So, big one I looked at was Amazon is trying to switch all their trucks to electric vehicles.
Oh, okay. I don't think I knew that.
And they were testing solar powered vehicles, solar panels on the top, and so that some sort of hybrid of electric and solar power and stuff like that.
Actually, not bad because mail's delivered during the day when it's sunny out.
Exactly. So
super smart
stuff like that. Solar farms, even doing private contracting for that would be cool. Realistically, probably end up as a safety professional in some sort of factory, doing a lot of audits, keeping up with OSHA regulations, keeping everybody safe, keeping everyone alive. That's, I mean,
that's important.
I had one class last semester that was industrial processes and hazard recognition. So half the class was literally, here's a video or pictures of a process. What could go wrong?
It could be anything.
Exactly. I mean, it could be splash from acid. It could be something, a light falling from the ceiling. I mean, noise, crashes, trips on power cords, everything.
It's giving me check the scenes and CPR vibes.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I mean, always scanning your environment. And the motto of that class was, don't underestimate the ingenuity of a lazy person, pretty much.
That's fair.
Because, I mean, there's a lot of safety controls that are there to keep you from losing a hand. And if somebody doesn't want to use those controls and finds a really intelligent way to make their job a lot easier and then loses a hand, I get all the flack for it. So.
Yeah.
And then I got to fill out the paperwork, which is a lot of stuff that we're learning.
That's
right
a lot
now.
of paperwork. Somebody actually loses a hand.
You think that's bad? So my dad is or knows somebody who's in a relationship with a friend of a friend. We'll call it a friend of a friend.
Mother's brother, sister's uncle?
No, not that far. I just don't know how much information I'm allowed to disclose on it, but
That's fair. Well, you know it's in the know.
No, it's fine. We'll call it a friend of a friend that was in the HR department at the BP Husky plant.
Oh, okay.
So she wasn't home for like 3 days because she was just working nonstop.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because when people die in human resources, your job gets tough.
Yeah.
Between, workers' comp and, getting in touch with the families and then all the paperwork and reporting, and there's a lot. I mean, so hopefully I never have to deal with anything that bad, but
yeah, well, one can hope that nothing that extreme happens.
Yeah,
that's very ideal.
That would be that's the basic job. That's like the center focus, but ideally something in sustainability would be my goal.
That makes sense. And yeah, the last part I have on here is sport future. I mean, we're both retired, I guess.
Yeah. So I played my freshman year. I was on the reserve team. Started on the bench playing outside mid. So I always grew up playing center mid.
I was an outside mid.
You were.
I was.
So I was a center mid. And then freshman year of high school, I played some forward, mixed with a little outside mid. Sophomore year, played mostly attacking mid.
Yeah, because the formations change, right? Every year?
Pretty much. Ended up junior and senior year playing a lot of outside mid. Just because that's the way our offense ran. That's where I could do the most damage. And then went to college as an outside mid, and then coach said, well, because it was a different system, he said, well, what do you think if we played you at outside back? You got to learn how to play defense more, which terrifying.
I hated playing defense for that exact reason.
I was not great at defense. I figured it out though. I was proud of myself. I wasn't great by any means, but I was.
It's a lot easier to go forward with the ball than go backwards against the ball.
That's true. And you always have to be the guy sprinting back because you can't go, the defense will get it.
Yeah, exactly.
But I ended up moving to outside back and actually started the latter half of the season outside back, which was nice. But the way our formation was set up, the outside backs were the ones getting down the wings like you would expect the outside mids to be doing. So
That's kind of weird.
Yeah, if you know soccer, you would understand the whole like.
there lies the
well,
issue.
yeah, not exactly your thing.
Played it but don't know it.
But anyone who might know, when you play a 4-3-3, so you have 4 defenders, 3 midfielders, 3 forwards.
No, I did actually know that.
Well, okay.
Yeah, I know.
So you have your 4 defenders. Your 3 midfielders are usually going to play as 3 center mids. So whether that's 2 defensive and 1 attacking, 1 defensive, 2 attacking, doesn't really matter. But it's usually in some form of triangle. We always played 2 holding mids, defensive mids, and 1 attacking mid. And there are 3 forwards. You would think that the 2 outer forwards would be the ones playing like an outside mid.
Yeah.
But that's not how ours was supposed to be set up. They were supposed to move up and in or be checking back towards the ball so that way the outside backs can run the sidelines. So outside back was a very run-heavy spot.
I didn't have to play that in that scheme.
Yeah, it would be crazy.
I've scored on a lot.
And it was rough. But you had to be all the way up on offense, playing the ball in, and then all the way back on defense, keeping the ball out. So there was a lot of running, but I liked the spot because it was nice getting to play both sides of the ball. And it slowed down the game a little bit for me. I didn't transition to college speed as well as I thought I would. And so moving to outside back gave me a little more, just a half a second more to, compose myself.
Now you're old and decrepit like me.
Yeah, so background on that, I guess. I was born with calcaneal navicular coalitions. So unless you guys are 5-star anatomy students, that means that calcaneus, which is your heel bone, and then navicular bone, which is there's a set of 3 bones in the midfoot.
Trying to do a science class.
Yeah. Well,
I know.
Gotta be descriptive.
Well, this is news to me too. I've never actually
I can show you a picture of it. I can find it somewhere. It's way back, but.
Well, I say if you want to keep explaining, go ahead.
I will. So, those 2 bones become fused together, and that's a genetic thing. We just kind of assume I got it from my dad because he had ankle problems too, just not near as bad. But he grew up in a big city, so he didn't play near as much as I did, really.
Yeah, that's true. When you live in a bunch of fields, you go outside a lot.
Yeah. So, here it is. So, this is what it's supposed to look like. And this is what I had. So, this center section is not supposed to be there. This is supposed to be a bone cut off here, and this is supposed to be a bone cut off here. So, they had to go in and cut that entire middle section out right here where it had fused together. See, this is what it's supposed to look like.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah. So, they had to go in and cut all that out. And I actually ended up having 2 in my right foot. I'm not even sure how that works. I'm not smart enough for that. But
Science.
Yeah. So I did that the spring and summer after my freshman year, which is why I didn't get to play baseball freshman year.
Yeah.
Which was very depressing. But, we move on.
You would have sat the bench with me anyway. It's fine.
Well, that's true. I would have pinch ran. That's about it. But yeah, so I had that. Spent most of sophomore year recovering from that, and then was good junior year, probably my best season, and then senior year, my ankle started to hurt a little bit more, but I wanted to try playing college anyways, and that was tough because college is a lot more grueling and taxing on the body than high school. I mean, it's not even close. Yeah. And so that really made my freshman year kind of a struggle. From the athletic side. And then we get into the spring season.
You made it way farther than I did.
Yeah, that's true. I at least made it through our competition season and then our first off season.
My story happened eventually. It's fine. Foot roll sometime.
Oh yeah, we'll get there. So I was in pain, and I was like, I don't know if I want to play sophomore year. I'll play through the spring season. We'll see what happens. But my ankles they weren't great. They were falling apart slowly but surely. And then middle of the spring season, I tore my quad in practice. And then...
Do you know what you did to tear your quad? I feel like we talked about this, but I do not remember.
Oh yeah. So it was power clean day in the weight room.
Oh, there it is.
And it was one of those days where coach said, okay, you have lifting, you have 50 minutes to get your lift done, and then we have practice 20 minutes after. So, okay, whatever, gotta do what we gotta do. So we go in, we're doing our power cleans. I choose to just blame it on the principle of it. You could probably blame it on my form. I don't have the best power cleaning form. I'll never claim to.
So I just don't do it.
Yeah. Well, I don't do it now, that's for sure. But I was doing my power cleans. We finished the whole workout, whatever. And we go out, and coach decides we're going to have a practice based on shooting. And that didn't sit well with my legs. We got a very light warm-up. It was cold. We had just done essentially a leg day, full body-ish, however you want to look at power cleans.
It's mostly legs.
It's mostly legs.
You can swing your arms, but it's mostly legs.
Yeah. And I took one shot, and it tweaked a little bit, and I stretched it, and I was fine. I was like, all right, now I'll keep going. And then I took another shot, and I had never felt a muscle pop the way it did. Like I thought I heard it. Like, I mean, obviously.
I was saying, was it like an instant pain? Was it a pop? Like,
yeah, it was all of the above. I mean, it was just, you could just feel straight through here, something just disconnected. I say straight through here, not that they can see it. Right through the thigh.
He is signaling to his quad, guys. Don't worry.
And so I went over to our assistant coach, and I was like, oh, man, coach, I just pulled my quad. He's like, uh-oh, pretty much. So he sent one of the other injured guys to go get ice. So I'm sitting there icing. And actually, the head coach didn't realize that I got hurt because he was watching the other field because we were playing, like, 5-on-5, like, short field games or something. And he turns around and sees me sitting there and goes, son, no sitting during practice. I'm like, I can't stand up.
That's great.
He didn't realize that I'd gotten hurt. It was kind of funny. But then,
what are you doing?
Yeah, texted the trainer, said, hey, I think I pulled my quad. She said, all right, whatever you do, don't stretch it. I'm like, got it. So
I already did that.
If you guys take anything away from this podcast, if you pull or strain or anything to a muscle, don't stretch it. It doesn't help. It makes it worse.
Don't run it.
I mean, you can do that. I don't care. I digress. So I go see her the next morning, and she runs me through the whole, like, different levels of pulling your quad and whatever. And she's like, oh, I don't think it's that bad. We'll keep you on rest, ice, whatever, for the next few days. I'll give you a wrap, and we'll see how you're doing at the end of the week. So I was doing my whatever little exercises, icing, doing whatever, and it wasn't good by the end of that week. So I waited out another week, and then she was like, oh, yeah, you should be fine to start getting back into practice. No, there was no way. So we tried, pulled it again, sat out another 3 weeks, tried, pulled it again. So at that point, we had just decided that I had tore my quad, and that was it. I was done for the season, and it's only like a 10-week spring season anyways. So there wasn't a whole lot of time to miss, but I played one of our like 6 spring games or something like that.
That's true.
Yeah, which kind of sucked. But after that, I was like, you know what? Between my quad, and I heard him multiple times over the summer too, which was the last straw. I was like, there's, no chance. I was like, between my ankles and my quad, and just wasn't worth trying to play anymore. So.
And now you're my roommate.
Yes, and now I live here, and I work at Walmart. And
I remember this.
That makes it sound bad, doesn't it? And I wouldn't trade it. I'm still happy with my decision. I miss soccer a lot. I don't miss playing competitively, though.
Well, I remember when we first talked about it, because we joked around with Clayton and Isaac. This is before Leo was like real part of the friend group. Like, oh, we'll all move in together or whatever.
The HTS house.
Yeah, the HTS house. It's on the Amazon wish list. It's true.
It has to be there.
And family, just different things across my family came up, and apartment next door in the duplex with my grandma opened, and I was like, oh, hey, I'm going to move in. So I was like, should probably not be living by myself, trying to pay full rent all throughout college. So I was like,
making minimum wage at your internship.
Yeah. So I was like, well, what about Matt? My mom was like, that'd be good. Does he play at soccer? I go, I should probably find that out, huh? And I remember, I think the very first time I asked you about it, you go, just depends on if I'm playing soccer next year or not. I was like,
pretty much. I mean, that was the only thing that hung in the balance, really. Because playing soccer, I mean, and you didn't even get through a full season. College sports owns your life. I mean, it doesn't matter what level you play at. D1, D2. Mostly D1 and D2, but, I mean, D3 can be pretty hefty in some sports, in some places.
Yeah, because, for me, 5 a.m. lifting, go to class. But I had class 8, 9, 10.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting in class all day. Then I have a 3 o'clock. So I have to hurry up, change, run out to class. Or class, practice. Same thing.
Same thing.
Like, I was an infielder, so like, it's not like I had it there a lot, but it was still enough.
I mean, it's still a lot.
That health bug gets you, man. Like you think you're ready to go, and all of a sudden, here it comes.
It takes a different breed to play college sports. It doesn't matter what level you're at.
Absolutely. Like there are people like baseball players that get Tommy John, like, and they're at the end of high school. Like, holy cow, that's super intense to be at the end of high school. Like you're not even technically in college yet.
Yeah.
And now we're both still fragile.
True.
Well, do you have any final plugs, messages, anything other than don't stretch a pulled muscle?
Yeah, don't stretch a pulled muscle. Listen to the Hot Take Sports podcast. Do we plug our SeatGeek code on here?
I mean, I guess.
Are we allowed to do that?
I guess technically we are presented by Hot Take Sports, so episode sponsored by SeatGeek. Use code HTS at SeatGeek, get $20 off your first order. Yeah, this has been Brady. Matt's here. Probably be on another time or two. Just really depends on what the plans are.
I'll be here, hanging out.
It's true. He will be here.
Talking sports, talking life. I'm here for it.
It's true. Listen to the Hot Take Sports podcast. Same streaming platforms as you'll find this. Listen to Clayton's miniseries, Combat Talk. The inaugural episode aired the other day. I listened to it. I thought it was pretty good. He figured out how to make intro music in one episode, and I've made like 70. Still don't know how to do it. Which, if you made it to the end of this episode and you heard music at the start, that means I accomplished something. I'm still trying to figure out how to do it.
Got to get it on the Big Boy podcast next.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're gradually building up. We got places to look forward to, I guess. All right. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you all in the next episode.